Oy min ma weitza min ma weitza kurusika.
Hello everyone, this is Priorities in Sefira number 5, and today we're going to deal with a very simple question. What comes first, Kiddush and Shul or Sefira? And on Motzei Shabbos, the opposite question, Havdalah or Sefira? Based on what we've been saying until now, it should be that the frequent should come before the infrequent. But on this particular issue, the halacha is clear. On a Friday night, make Kiddush before Sefira. But on Motzei Shabbos, make Havdalah after Sefira. And there probably is two explanations for this. The first explanation is the Trumat Hadeshin. He quotes a Gemara in Psachim that basically says what we sing in the famous Mira Kol Mekadesh Shvi'i. In that Zmira we say that the people love Shabbos so much because HaMe'achrim latzet min HaShabbat u'memaharim lavo, which literally means that the Jewish people run toward Shabbos but push it off from leaving as much as possible. So therefore, very simply, the first possible time you can make Kiddush and accept Shabbos, you do. That's memaharim lavo. On the other hand, push off Havdalah as much as you can. That's the way the Trumat Hadeshin explains this halacha, and that's what we follow. However, there's another explanation, and that is brought by the Magen Avraham. He brings a book called Chanukat HaBayit, written by an author called Moshe ben Gershom. I don't know anything about him outside of his years that you see on the screen, that ultimately says, how can you count Sefira before Havdalah? It's still Shabbos. It's not yet Saturday night. And the Magen Avraham quotes him, but disagrees with him. And he says that at the end of the day, the minute Tzeta Kochavim comes, the minute it is nighttime, it is no longer Shabbos. It is Laila Lechol Milei. It's Saturday night. There's only one little thing, one little knetch, and that is that you have an Isser Malacha upon you until you make Havdalah. But it's Saturday night already. You can daven Ma'ariv of a weekday. You can count Sefira Ta'omer of the Saturday night, Sunday count. But you can't do Malacha until you make Havdalah. So you already daven the weekday Ma'ariv. You already counted Sefira. But at the end of the day, you can't put on a light until you make Havdalah. That's ultimately what the Magen Avraham says. The Chok Yaakov agrees with him. And Rav Yaakov Reisha just adds that, by the way, if you've already davened Ma'ariv, then by definition in your Ma'ariv, you said Havdalah in Atachon Antanu, so you also made Havdalah. But even if you didn't, he says, it's Saturday night, it is no longer Shabbos, you just have an Isser Malacha upon you until you say Havdalah. This is a fundamental principle in the eyes of the Magen Avraham, because he says it in two more places. Number one, last night of Pesach. So there you are eating your Seudat Mashiach, or your last meal of Pesach, whatever you might want to call it, and it's now dark outside, and you didn't daven Ma'ariv yet. Can you eat Chametz already? It's no longer Pesach on the clock. On the other hand, you didn't make Havdalah. Says the Magen Avraham, yes, Pesach is over. It's already the night after Pesach. You can eat Chametz, no problem. The only problem is that you have an Isser Malacha upon you until you say Havdalah. But you can eat Chametz already because it's no longer Pesach. He says the same thing regarding Motzei Yom Kippur. On Motzei Yom Kippur, he says, before you make Havdalah, you can take a hot shower. Absolutely forbidden on Yom Kippur. And many other things that you're forbidden to do on Yom Kippur. Of those 5 things you can do before Havdalah. You just have an Isser Malacha upon you until you make Havdalah. So it seems a little ironic that on the one hand I'm eating Chametz, on the other hand I'm not putting on a light on Motzei Pesach. Or after Yom Kippur, I'm getting into a hot shower, anointing myself with oil, and I didn't make Havdalah yet, so I can't flick on a switch for the light. But that's what the Magen Avraham says. So 2 explanations as to why, indeed, on a Motzei Shabbos, we make Havdalah after Sefira. Explanation number 1, push Havdalah as much as possible later, because we don't want to get rid of Shabbos. Explanation number 2 is, with due respect, Shabbos is over. You can push. You don't have to push. Shabbos is over. You just have an Isser Malacha upon you until you make Havdalah. So Havdalah does not save you from Shabbos being over. That's the clock. Shabbos is over when Shabbos is over, and therefore you can daven Ma'ariv and count Sefira, and ultimately do everything except Malacha until you make Havdalah. This would have a very, very strong ramification. With this, we conclude on when you daven Ma'ariv on Motzei Shabbos. There is a notion out there that says you don't got to daven Ma'ariv until Shabbos is over, because by davening Ma'ariv, you're making a statement that Shabbos is over. Comes along the Magen Avram and says, make a statement, don't make a statement. Shabbos is over when it's Tzeit HaKochavim, when it's dark. You just have an Isser Malacha until you make Havdalah. So you can daven Ma'ariv 10 minutes before Shabbos is over, or 15 minutes before Shabbos is over, because we have a din of Tosefet Shabbos, and we don't end Shabbos right at nightfall. But it's already Saturday night, and therefore you can daven Ma'ariv, you can count Sefira, and ultimately, at the right time, you'll make Havdalah and take away the Yisr Malacha. So, at the end of the day, Friday night, we make Kiddush before Sefira, probably for the reason that I said in the name of the Trumat Hadeshen, bring Shabbos as much as possible into our lives. On Motzei Shabbos, two different explanations. One is push off Havdalah because we don't want to say goodbye to Shabbos. Explanation number two is Shabbos is gone. You just have an Isser Malacha till you make Havdalah, and therefore there's no reason not to count Sefira when Shabbos is over.